about Epstein and to talk about Diddy and to not see them as the same situation. Like, there's so many intersections between Epstein and Diddy that we're not even paying attention to. And people who were regulars in the...
Folks used to mock Jaguar Wright, dismissing her as unhinged, salty, or just grasping at straws. But now, with federal Epstein files unsealed and millions of pages flooding the public domain, the laughs have dried up fast. It all reignited as high-profile names resurfaced from those infamous documents, titans of power and influence.
And about Naomi Campbell really coming forward yet. I'm surprised. I'm like bitterly surprised. Her time.
Yeah, they said her name was on the list like the most as far as like flight records.
Yeah.
She was on a lot of flights.
A lot of flights.
You mentioned
also Diddy's ex-girlfriend.
Hey.
Isn't that funny?
Jaguar's long-standing warnings about the entertainment elite's tangled, toxic underbelly suddenly ring prophetic. She's zeroed in on one bombshell parallel post-release: the eerie overlaps between Jeffrey Epstein's operation and Sean Diddy Combs' world, urging us not to treat them as isolated scandals. It's time to connect the dots on Epstein and Diddy. They are mirror images we're sleeping on, she argues, spotlighting shared threads like elite regulars crossing paths that demand scrutiny.
Epstein is no longer with us. David Stern, the NBA commissioner, he's no longer with us. Michael Jackson, his name was on this list.
Odd. That was odd too. Chris Tucker showed up. Like a lot of people showed up. But the funny thing is it's who they're putting up, what they're pushing forward, what they're holding back on.
Epstein wielded billionaire clout, private jets, and velvet rope access. Diddy ruled music, fashion, and Hollywood's backroom deals. Jaguar insists Diddy wasn't a lone wolf but a cog in a vast machine, protected, just like Epstein evaded the spotlight for years. Who else dodged accountability in that shadow network? She's flawed by the quiet around Naomi Campbell. Bitterly shocked nothing's sticking to her yet, her name lit up flight logs more than most.
The Sean Carter references, the Jay-Z references are very interesting on so many levels. Because it's being mentioned from different foyers, like from different aspects.
Small world vibes hit harder with Diddy's ex-girlfriend popping up too, sparking what a coincidence whispers. Though proximity alone isn't guilt, it fuels the why so silent questions. Jaguar calls out the selective spotlight. Why do some names dominate headlines while others fade? Deceased figures like NBA Commissioner David Stern and Michael Jackson surface oddly on lists, alongside Chris Tucker's mentions. But the real intrigue?
With regard to Donald Trump's refusal to pardon Sean Puffy Combs or to commute the sentence of Sean Puffy Combs, because he don't have to pardon him, Art. He could just commute the sentence and say he served enough time, let him go home. You know, he's not doing that either. And I'm gonna tell you why. It's not necessarily due to the fact that he got an issue with Diddy.
Arid references to Sean Carter, Jay-Z, cropping up from multiple angles, not just once, but layered across contexts like contact logs and social orbits. It's rarely outright accusation, more a map of proximity in a sprawling web that dwarfs any single player. Even broader chatter ropes in rumored Elon Musk links and Bill Gates admitted Epstein meetups, underscoring how these files expose not lone wolves, but a systemic ecosystem where wealth and fame blurred ethical lines. The lesson? Dismiss the canaries at your peril.
And we know Donald Trump is a racist. He's a bigot. He can't stand black people. We know that. He has a whole history of racism. His father was a racist. His grandfather, Frederick Trump, who immigrated to America from Germany, because Trump is a second generation American. Okay, if you don't count the first generation, the arriving generation. But his grandfather, who immigrated here, Frederick Trump, he couldn't stand black folks. He couldn't stand black folks. In fact,
Truth often hides in the patterns we ignore. The Epstein files peel back another layer with Bill Gates front and center in a wild 2013 draft email Epstein scribbled to himself, like a twisted diary entry venting about their fraying friendship. Epstein accuses Gates of ghosting him lately while begging deletion of old messages. And the speculated motive? Shady enough, those threads allegedly covered Gates' STD drama.
Donald Trump's father, I think, Art, either the father or the grandfather, but I think it's the father, Fred Trump. He was even allegedly, he has been accused of being sympathetic to the Ku Klux Klan. And we know for a fact that Donald Trump's father and possibly even grandfather, they were well known in New York for practicing resident
for antibiotics to secretly dose Melinda, and some cryptic P reference that reeks of personal mess. Epstein's prose rambles like a fever dream from an unhinged scribe. To add insult, you implored me to delete emails on your STD, your request for antibiotics to slip Melinda, and your P description, leaving us scratching heads at why a billionaire titan would tap a convict like Epstein for meds.
residential discrimination against black people. And so was Donald Trump. So the grandfather, father, and Trump, all German. Donald Trump is a German, by descent. They were all known to not like black people and discriminate against them in the leasing and purchasing of their real estate in New York. So you're talking about a white supremacist.
Gets murkier with another draft. This one ghost written in the voice of Gates' longtime science advisor, Boris Nikolic, plotting an exit from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation that same July. Epstein channels him confessing, "Lately, I've drowned in Bill and Melinda's brutal marriage storm. As his right-hand shadow, I foolishly greenlit morally dodgy to outright unethical schemes, now facing pleas for near-illegal favors from
claims that Gillen has put forward as to why she did not receive a fair trial." Now, the upshot of that petition will be one of three. It's denied. That's a shutout. An evidentiary hearing is ordered. The release of the Epstein files,
hooking Bill up with drugs to dodge fallout from Russian girls, to covering his sneaky flings with married women, even Adderall runs for bridge games. I owe my circle a raw apology for this moral collapse, begging forgiveness to reboot my life. This wasn't some fluke brush with the wild pedo every elite randomly crossed. Epstein wove himself into power hubs deliberately, scripting leverage like a blackmail artisan. It's a stark lesson in how proximity to darkness blurs lines for the mighty. One unhinged draft exposes not just scandal, but the fragile ethics of influence peddlers who normalize the abnormal until the receipts drop.
which everyone has jumped on, with some famous people having been cut down, as it were, whether it's Mandelson or Prince or whatever, the former Prince or whatever. But within the millions of pages that have been released are some exceptionally important documents from Gillen's perspective, which entirely support her
Gates' camp has downplayed it as Epstein's fantasy fiction, but the details linger, urging us to question what connections really hide behind philanthropy facades. Folks mocked Jaguar Wright as a conspiracy crank, but she's connecting dots we should have seen. Epstein wasn't some lone deviant. He crafted blackmail bait for the elite, boasting in emails about aiding Israeli spies and ex-presidents, while mainstream outlets spin fairy tales like 2 + 2 is equal to 5 or 0. Reality
contention that she did not receive a fair trial. This isn't just us or Gillen trying to get sympathy. Obviously, she's convinced of her own innocence, and the issues that have come to light, be they the matter of the lying juror or the deliberate.
It's 4. He targeted titans, billionaires, economy shapers, global puppeteers, operating beyond civilian rules, as Jaguar nails it. Power at that altitude warps gravity, normal laws don't apply. Then looms the mother of all riddles, Epstein's jailhouse suicide.
Hiding of exculpatory information and evidence by the government, by the prosecutors. It is my view that Epstein was guilty. It is also my view that my sister is not guilty. That's to say, innocent of the charges that she was convicted of.
Right. I mean, okay, so the other people have been accused of things, and they have not necessarily been...
Official line? Self-inflicted. But glitchy cameras, vanished footage, dozing guards, red flags galore. One ex-con who rotted in that very MCC cell block calls BS outright. Enter Michael Francis, 80s Colombo crime family capo, who logged 7 months in Epstein's exact tier. On air. Welcome back, Michael. Spill on that cell, especially with a minute of surveillance mysteriously AWOL.
Already been accused of the crime of which your sister has been accused. But people have asked questions about their association with this man, who they knew to be a convicted. So I cannot relitigate Ghislaine's trial because I don't have the knowledge and the information to do it. You can probably very easily shoot down every point I might raise. So it's almost pointless trying to do it. But what I can say is, she was for a very long time, perhaps the closest friend and confidant.
Listen, Francis Fires. No way suicide happens there. Nothing dangling from ceilings, no bed fixtures to rig. You'd need contortionist skills and Herculean effort to off yourself, and even then, good luck. Impossible. His insider take shreds the narrative, spotlighting how these accidents protect the powerful.
To a convicted pedophile who traffics, is that in and of itself not something that greatly troubles you about your sister?
Look, she was in a relationship with a physical relationship, as far as we know, with Epstein from roughly 1992 to about 90.
Lesson? When files name drop the untouchables, dismiss the whistleblowers at your own risk. Patterns like Epstein's web reveal systemic shields, not sloppy mishaps. Truth doesn't suicide. It gets silenced. Michael Francis keeps dismantling the official story, drawing from his 8 years behind bars. Cameras never glitched on me, and cops patrolled relentlessly, peeking into cells so often you'd blush mid-toilet break.
7, 8, something in the later 90s. And the relationship then, that aspect of the relationship then changed, and it became a very much more professional relationship, where in fact she had substantial responsibilities for running, building, renovating, overseeing, and managing many...
That perfect storm of busted surveillance and napping guards? Unheard of in his world. Day one, I called it, no suicide. Physically? Near impossible. You can't rig it from those bare fixtures. Host probes the video's familiarity. Must hit different for you, knowing that layout cold. He dodges relitigating the trial. I lack the full intel, and you'd dismantle my points anyway, but owns the elephant in the room. Others faced heat for hobnobbing with a known sex trafficker post-conviction, yet escaped her exact accusations. Still, doesn't her ultra-close tie to Epstein gnaw at him? She was his romantic partner from around 1992 into the late 90s, he explains. Then it shifted to pure business. She shouldered massive duties running, renovating, and managing his sprawling properties. Legal heavyweights like Alan Dershowitz, Epstein's ex-lawyer, are pushing hard. Grant Ghislaine Maxwell immunity to spill it all before Congress. She orchestrated the flights, tracked the passengers, she holds the map to it all. Suddenly, the political endgame sharpens into view. Free testimony could torch elites. A plea deal might shield them. But a whiff of quid pro quo? Good luck selling her words to a skeptical public. The plot thickens with Diddy mirroring the playbook. Allegations paint his free coughs as blackmail traps snaring the ultra-powerful. So why skip the pardon when buzz peaked? Judge Joe Brown calls it chess. Diddy's saga isn't done grinding through courts. Pardon too soon, and you slam the door on juicier revelations. Rush it, he warns, and you blind yourself to the real web, like those 15 years of party tapes. Someone's sweating bullets to bury that exposure. Who's shielded, and what legal dominoes are we missing? Is this lawfare twisting the Bill of Rights to muzzle witnesses and shield the untouchables? Prosecute one to silence threats against another. That's the peril our founders guarded against, now getting trampled. Peel back Diddy's mess. Sure, his alleged pimping vibes are grubby, hands not spotless for mercy pleas, but weaponizing courts to bury reputations? No dice. Even if outcomes feel off-kilter, you can't persecute to protect. Think about those 15 years of freak-off tapes, hosted weekly, fading now, but once they cowed entertainment and media bigwigs from crossing lines, knowing blackmail loomed. Notice how few A-listers got named despite the guest lists? Who's really pulling strings here? Drop your theories in the comments.